This year, we've had 18 tributes across 12 shows, all fighting for a place in this, the 11 o'clock Waffle Grand Final. Now, just 4 remain. 4 who have made the final in a year which has been full of twists and turns. But as always, there can be only one. Let's meet the fantastic Final 4. First up, making the final for the first time in 3 attempts, comes a man with 2 victories in 3 league appearances. His 3rd victory of the year came in our World Cup special. The only other man to record 4 wins in 1 year was the first ever champion waffler, Edgar Duncan. Can that record be matched, and will the Feckles man rise? Fresh from his honeymoon, it's Christopher J. Stanley.
Well, thank you, Mac, and it's good to be back, but no more Mr. Nice, it's time to attack. First up, it's the lesbians, known as the Moosey. You call yourself Wafflers and use that term loosely. Wigmore, what's the score early doors? Might be 0-0 now, but I'll knock you for 4. T's on the side, and I'm here to stay. This one's for Jenny Roberts, 34A. Boom.
I love it, that was brilliant.
Well, Chris is 1 up already.
I think we need to just admit defeat now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the show, right? We can't beat Chris's sick beats, basically.
That's a wrap, and you know it.
Oh.
Next, after a stunning and rather musical start to her waffle career, this lady who's wasted no time scoring big points and claiming that crucial win last time out that places her here today. On her debut, she outscored last year's champion, Jennifer Roberts. Welcome the underdog of today, it's Natasha Wigmore.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be in the final. Whee!
She's about to lose control, and she thinks she'd like it.
I think I like it. Uh-oh, let's get excited. I just can't hide it. Woo! Yeah, I'm really excited. So happy to be here.
Excellent stuff. Third up, making the final for a 3rd series running. She's had a strong series thus far with 2 wins in 2 appearances. However, she's not been on the waffle in almost 6 months. Will she be fresh or out of form? Desperate to claim the title today, I'm sure. It's Lucy Ahmed.
Hi, how is everyone? I'm very ill, so I apologise now if all you hear is coughing from me.
Drink every time Lucy coughs.
You'll all be very drunk.
Drink Calpol.
I'm fresh and fighting fit. I want to win this.
Third, is it going to be 3rd time the bride or 3rd time the bridesmaid, Lucy?
I don't know. Only time will tell.
And lastly, our final guest should be Daniel Scholes. However, due to work commitments, he's had to drop out, and without any mercy, our 4th guest has snatched his place, despite being half a point behind him in the average table. 2nd time out in the final of the waffle, it's Emma Preuss.
Yeah, work commitments. That's why Dan's not here. It's fine. I've hidden the body well.
You monster! At least say you saved the ponytail from 5 years ago.
It's a good job we have a basement flat, isn't it?
The baby did it. The baby did it.
Remember, Chris, when you play the game of waffles, you win or you die.
Yeah, you certainly do. There is no middle ground.
And so, with our 4 finalists introduced, let's get cracking. Question 1. The Nobel Peace Prize for Physiology or Medicine has been awarded to a trio of scientists who discovered the brain's GPS system. So let's get started by talking about the previous winners of the Nobel Peace Prize who deserve an honourable mention on our show. And we'll start with Lucy.
Okay, I'm going to go with Theodore Roosevelt. He got it whilst he was still US President, and it was for his peace talks with Russia and Japan in 1904. There's been 2 other presidents who's won. Woodrow Wilson and Barack Obama in 2009. This is really silly, but I kind of like the fact Teddy Roosevelt, as obviously he was affectionately known, also has teddy bears named after him. So I was kind of like, okay, his peace work was great and all that, but you know, good old teddy bear. You need one of those in your life, don't you? So yeah, I'm going with Theodore Roosevelt.
Well, the previous century, he was known for being a military general. That's the thing that I find hilarious. He plays a huge role in the war between Cuba and America, between Spain, the Cuban War. And
Yeah,
he leads horse charges, and then, like, next decade, Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, it's kind of questionable, him getting the Peace Prize, but he does seem to do good work for Japan and Russia, so...
Yeah.
It's like Barack Obama getting it when he'd done nothing.
Yeah, I have issues with that award, but yeah.
Okay, let's cross to Chris now.
One of the interesting things, it's not necessarily award, but Norway actually won the right to award the prize because it was a more peaceful nation than Sweden, where Nobel himself was from. He was like, actually, this award that I've created, Norway deserves it more than Sweden. The one I've gone with, it's kind of a semi-serious one. It's 97, the International Campaign to Ban Landmines, there's an organisation in Switzerland, and Jodie Williams, for their work for the banning and clearing of anti-personnel mines. As Emma mentioned last week, that was also the year that Diana died, so I imagine that played a role in it. But yeah, landmines are everywhere. It's actually really scary. Yeah, you name a country where there's been a war in the last 50 years, there will still be landmines there. So it's actually a really important charity, because they're horrible things. They maim, they are not, discriminating. They'll blow up anyone. So
there's a really good one about the Falklands, where there's a species of I think it's penguin on the Falklands.
Oh no!
They're so light they don't set off the landmines, and they were almost hunted to extinction.
I've heard about this.
They live on this bit of landmines now because they don't set them off, but people can't go and hunt them because they'll set the landmine off.
Excellent! That's a win for humanity, isn't it? I love the Falklands because it's Fort Stanley. It is my fort.
You can't go to Argentina now, Chris. Top Gear can't go. Fort Stanley can't go for sure.
No, I mean, I'd probably just be saying, that Higuain chance in the final, and that would be it.
Okay, let's move on to Tash now.
Martin Luther King. Back in 1964, he was awarded the prize of the award, and it was for non-violent campaigning against racism. I think this is something that I feel quite strongly about this. I don't get racism and anything like this, and I just think, obviously, in America at the time, and definitely sort of the decades leading up to sort of his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, the South and the white supremacists all against black people. I just think it was absolutely atrocious how everyone's opinions were about black people and obviously slavery and everything like that. I mean, to some extent, perhaps that's what they grew up, that's what they're used to. But I just think it was fantastic, and it's quite scary to think that actually less than 50 years ago, this was how the world still was. There wasn't equality. Anyway, Martin Luther King, he was awarded in '64, and sadly, 4 years later, he was murdered by a white supremacist. But to say that, I think most states in America now, they have a Martin Luther King Day, and they celebrate it on the 3rd of January, which was his birthday. I just think that's nice to recognise him, because he was all about sort of talking it through and not being violent, which of course that is what the white supremacists were doing. They were quite violent.
He correctly predicted, Martin Luther King, that he wouldn't live till he was 40, and he died 39. So yeah, it's eerie. Where though is Gandhi's Nobel Peace Prize? Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, Emma.
I went for the 2011 recipient of the prize, and here I'm going to have to apologise because I'm going to muck up my pronunciation terribly and it's going to be embarrassing. But it was a lady called Lema Gaboe, and she basically began a women's movement which was a strong force in stopping the Liberian Civil War in 2003. And basically, she decided that something had to change. This was a hideous war in which child soldiers were used, and it had been raging for years. And she basically began gathering women together to form a protest. And little by little, they gained momentum. And it was by doing sit-ins, singing songs, all peaceful movements. You were talking about Gandhi before. She was very much inspired by him, and took his techniques to slowly gather together so many women that they got to a point where if you imagine every soldier has a wife, has a mother, has a sister, each of these women used their influence to try and stop the people around them getting involved in this war, and eventually she was a strong force in actually ending it. She became the country's Prime Minister and was the first female Prime Minister in all of Africa.
Nice, yeah.
So
yeah. What's the film with Nicolas Cage in, which is all about sort of gun war? and starts with a really good opening sequence.
God of War.
Yeah, I think so. That's actually quite a good... Considering it's Nicolas Cage, it's a really good film.
It's
really
not The Rock, is it, with Sean Connery?
No, it is not. Oh, it's not a face-off either, whichever.
And move on to question 2. Roy Keane appears to have another autobiography out, given the top 7 sports headlines on the Daily Mail website were all about him the other day. In fact, he does have an autobiography out and is basically just repeating most of what was said in his last book. Spoiler alert, he's not sorry and he's always right. So, as the pre-Christmas celebrity autobiography book rush comes into play, what for you has been the most shocking revelation in an autobiography? Tash?
I haven't actually read an autobiography before, so I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to quickly go onto Wikipedia, but then I realised, I mean, it's kind of an autobiography, and I read it when I was younger. It's Dave Pelzer's story, and more specifically, sort of his book, A Child Called It, and it's really shocking. Dave Pelzer, he was one of, I can't remember now, 3 or 4 brothers, and basically his mother had a bit of a mental breakdown where she really mistreated him. His other siblings were treated like royalty. She absolutely doted on them, loved them. And this poor child, he's only a little tiddler. He was starved. He was told to sleep in the garage. She regularly sort of inflicted sort of quite torturous, disciplined him in quite torturous ways. One example, he was like a slave. He had to do all the cleaning and everything like that. But she took him up and she said, right, you clean this bathroom. And she basically almost poisoned him with ammonia. She just sort of gassed out the bathroom to the point where he sort of collapsed. Anyway, it kind of has a happy ending because eventually social services and the school get involved, and he is sort of taken out, and then he goes on to write. A Child Called It is part of a trilogy, so he goes on to sort of write another book about his teenage years in foster care, and then finally him as an adult sort of recovering. So that was it, and it's such a tearjerker, really. I mean, you just read a page and then you're crying, and then you sort of close it, put it down, and think, oh, I'll come back to it later, and then you just cry all over again. It's really sad.
Point of order. Was this woman Petunia Dursley?
No,
because
no.
this sounds like how the Dursleys treated Harry Potter, although, dare I say it, even worse. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes the Dursleys seem like a nice family.
I know, right? I know. I mean, at least they got to stay in the house under the stairs. I mean, this
Maybe it's Sirius Black's mum. Yeah, she's even worse.
Chris, autobiography revelations.
My one is that it's the Hitler diaries. And the shocking revelation is they were clearly fakes, but that people believed that they were real. Like, not just people on the street, we're talking proper historians. In particular, a guy called Hugh Trevor Roper. They created these diaries, sort of said, oh, we found these diaries, they came off a plane that crashed, and yeah, no, they're definitely his. The Sunday Times got heavily involved. And they sent Hugh Trevor Roper over to Switzerland to see the diaries, and he was like, oh yeah, they are true. Yeah, no, this seems to make sense. And excerpts got published in the Sunday Times newspaper, and he was like, they're definitely true, definitely real. The German press, which I'm sure is still better than our British press are now, were just like, yeah, we're not buying this, and looked into it. It was just like, you've just recopied some of his Mein Kampf, and it was such a disaster for the Sunday Times, because the editor of the Sunday Times actually had to stand down. Quite a lot of people left their jobs. Hugh Trevor Roper, his reputation never recovered. He was completely finished as a historian. It would be a bit like David Starkey or Simon Sharma believing that Anne Frank really was a believer. Yeah, it happened a while ago, 80s. It's just like, wow. Wow.
Okay, from one believer to another, Emma.
Don't tar me with that brush.
Dude.
That's a terrible thing to do. Basically, I don't read many autobiographies, so I spent a long time thinking about what I actually have read. One of the few ones I've read is Moab is My Washpot, which is Stephen Fry's. And that's his early years. It's him up until the age of about 18, 19. And there are some quite shocking things in that. He went on a crime spree of credit card fraud and went around buying all kinds of things and eventually ended up getting arrested in Swindon. But to be honest, whilst I was having a look at this, his new book sounds a lot more shocking because I've just discovered about his massive cocaine habit.
Yeah, it was Buckingham Palace and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was taking cocaine in Buckingham Palace and the House of Lords, and apparently he got arrested by the police while in possession with a load of cocaine, which he hid in the police car.
Class A drugs in a Class A location was clearly his sort of logic.
The thing that's nice about him is that he's someone who's happy to admit his mistakes.
And that he's got faults. And that he's tried things.
It would be nice if Ed Miliband did that, and then he might have a chance.
True.
Okay, Lucy.
Okay, so I was researching this one because I haven't actually read that many autobiographies. And the most recent one that came up was Gerard Depardieu. Because before he became famous, he was a grave robber. And he used to dig up corpses to get the jewellery and shoes. Because he was like very, very poor at the time. But he was also a male prostitute from the age of 10. So kind of a interesting life before he became famous. Obviously there's all that stuff about him being friends with Vladimir Putin and all that as well. But I need to have a little honourable mention for a bit of a jokey one, which I came across just because for the shocking title, which was Melissa Joan Hart's, which is Melissa Explains It All. She basically hated the cat in Sabrina. She hated the cat.
No!
What?
She took Britney Spears to her first nightclub. She did drugs up at the Playboy Mansion and made out with a load of girls in a limo going back to the Playboy Mansion.
She made out with women?
Yeah! Shocking
Shocking
behaviour for the Sabrina the Teenage Witch there.
I always preferred the cat. Like the cat was the thing that made that show. I was aware that it wasn't necessarily the show aimed at me as a bloke, but I was just like, this cat is hilarious.
I'm not sure I can go on. I'm in too much shock.
I know, I can't believe that.
Melissa Explains It All. Yeah, she just hated the cat.
Well, I might actually have to buy this. Okay, let's move on to question 3 now. According to a paper published by New York University, short men make better husbands. So examples of men who are great despite their small stature. And we'll start with the tallest panellist, Emma.
Haha, nice segue there. I spent a little while looking at this. I was trying to work out what actually classified as short. I saw some lists of famous short celebrities, and some of them were 5'8", and I didn't really think that was that short for a guy, but you know.
I think I'm 5'9".
Yeah, Chris,
You're
short.
so short.
Yeah,
So short.
yeah.
In the end, I decided I would go for someone who was very short and very deserving of it, which would be Warwick Davis, who has had a part in pretty much every major science fiction and fantasy franchise. It's just a bit of an on-screen legend now.
I met him last year, Emma, and there's a photo of my brother and him, and my brother has a very photogenic smile, but it's got nothing on Warwick.
Okay, from Warwick Davis to Tash, what have you got?
Do you know, ever since I read this question, I have actually just seen loads of couples walking around lately where the man is smaller than the woman. So I just thought, oh wow, my eyes have just been opened. I didn't really want to try and go with like a celebrity because I thought, well, what have they done that's so great? So I typed into Google small men who are great, and all it came up with were sexual references. So I thought, oh, I'm not going to get anywhere with that. And anyway, I just thought, well, who are my two, I will go back to celebrities, and who are my 2 favourite people to watch, and I'll watch them all the time. Ant and Dec. They're actually, I mean, maybe not necessarily Ant, he's 5'8", but Dec is 5'6". So I think, okay, that's quite small. And I think they're lovely, aren't they? They're so happy chappy, they're never in the papers for doing anything bad, they've just been going for such a long time. They have so much fun together, they're still friends, they're so down to earth, and I love all the shows they do. I can't wait for I'm a Celebrity. That's probably one of my favourite TV shows. They're like reality TV shows. So there we go, Ant and Dec.
Okay, Chris, let's get ready to rumble.
I know,
Let's
it's
get
quite
ready
ironic.
to rumble. Get ready, get steady. Everybody rumble. PJ and Duncan. Number one
They were
for a
terrible.
week. Number one for a week.
What were we thinking?
But then they did so good because when that came back into the charts, instead of them sort of keeping all of their proceeds from that, they just gave it all to charity.
Yeah.
So they are great. They are small men who are great.
All hands on deck. Way.
Way.
Okay,
Poor Alex
Chris.
missing out.
I'm going to go with a bit of a history lesson here. Victor Emmanuel III of Italy. He was 1.53 meters tall. Kaiser Wilhelm often invited this guy to inspect the German guards, who were all flipping massive. It's a bit like Lucy inviting Jenny to walk past the line of Emmas. This guy, but he survived 2 world wars. He saw the complete birth, rise and fall of Italian fascism, and he was nicknamed Sciaboletta, which means little sabre in Italian. The downside is a really interesting character. His popularity waned. He kind of just let Mussolini have more and more power. He was still king. Mussolini let him king, but he claimed the thrones of Ethiopia and Abyssinia. The Italians actually made up a coffee song shop about him, which goes like this. Ahem. Quando Vittorio era soltanto re, si bevia del buon caffè. Poi divenne imperatore, se ne sente solo l'odore. Oggi c'è anche re da Benia, anche l'odore l'han portato via. E se avremo un'altra vittoria, si mancherà anche la chicoria. Which means, when our Victor was plain king, coffee was a common thing. When an emperor he was made, coffee to a smell did fade. Since he got Albania's throne, coffee's very smell has flown. And if we have another victory, we're also going to lose our chicory, which is the coffee substitute in Italy. And Spain, I believe. So, yeah, great character. 2 world wars. I'm done.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Okay, so Lucy, if you could have a husband, would they be short?
Maybe. I'm just going to go with my answers now.
Be careful, in case, I start getting worried that she's going to run off with someone shorter.
A squashed David Tennant.
Oh, no, okay. So my answers, I have Peter Dinklage, obviously Game of Thrones. He is awesome. He holds that show together. He has the best one-liners, and he's really funny in real life as well. I've seen lots of interviews with him. And he just, sort of cracks me up when he's on screen. And from my childhood, I have to mention Danny DeVito, just because, all those great films, like Matilda and all those ones from when we were kids, great. And one last one I have to mention is the artist formerly known as Prince, because Purple Rain.
When you're talking about Anton Deck, it made me think of the 2 Ronnies, actually. And there are a lot of...
Ronnie Corbett.
Oh, exactly.
How did no one mention Ronnie Corbett?
I'd love to meet Ronnie Corbett.
Well, let's have the scores now, and it's incredibly close. So we don't upset cutting. Tied at the back on 12 points, it's Chris and Tash.
Oh.
And on 13 points each, it's Emma and Lucy.
Wow.
Ooh.
Dear me.
Question 4 now. Gone Girl is out at the cinema. The film focuses on a man who is suspected of his wife's disappearance. David Fincher, the director, jokingly claimed this film will cause 1 million divorces. So as Chris returns to the Waffle for the first time since getting married, let's have examples of messy divorces. Tash!
Hey!
Tash, me first. Okay, going back in time, Henry VIII, he loved to get married. His first divorce, Catherine of Aragon, I mean, how messy and big can you get? He actually decided to split from Roman Church, but that was massive, I think.
Wasn't as messy as the second divorce.
She just died.
Well, no, he just murdered her. But I think that's probably the biggest thing. So he decided to break from the Catholic Church just so that he could get out of her, and then just end up marrying someone else so he could have some sons.
Mary never saw her again. That's the horrible thing. Mary,
yeah.
as a daughter, never saw her again. She just dies in a forgotten castle in Wales. Wolsey as well. Wolsey effectively dies from illness from the whole divorce proceedings. The lawyer dies effectively.
It was just so much, and obviously what Henry wanted he got. But yeah, this poor Catherine, I didn't actually realise this. She had 6 children, all in all, and obviously the only one to survive was Mary. So she's gone through all of that, only for Henry to be like, yeah, I'm bored of you, and I want a male heir. So there we go, you're out. So, and actually, to be fair, thanks to Henry VIII, that's why we can all get divorced now. He was the one who started it all.
So all the messy divorces are basically his fault.
His fault.
Emma.
I think an honourable mention needs to go to the Mills and McCartney split, just for this wonderful, wonderful quote from Paul McCartney. which is Heather is an effing liar. I wouldn't be surprised if we found out she's actually got 2 legs. Which,
and then I went into the bar.
the one I decided to pick for, just because it was such a media frenzy and everyone in the world seemed to suddenly have an opinion on it, was Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. Everyone went a bit mental, and also I feel a little bit sad for Jennifer Aniston because everyone was very quick to jump on the Brangelina wagon. It was messy just because it was everywhere.
She did get a lot for sympathy, but it was kind of pity. So it was kind of, yeah.
Yeah, no one wants to just endlessly have everyone writing about how sad and pathetic they are. I think that's got to stop.
I find it very hard to watch Friends back when they're both on.
Oh, on that episode, yeah, that's a very telling episode, I think.
Can't watch it.
Okay, Lucy, divorce.
Divorce, and it's another royal theme here, but I'm going to say Charles and Diana.
Gosh darn it.
I think that in recent history, that's kind of a very open, messy divorce where there was lots of documentaries, there's lots of things being said, there was stuff coming from all parties, all situations, all different people, and obviously there is all those rumours and theories about Diana's death. I think Charles and Diana were very publicly put into the limelight for that throughout the sort of 90s, and that their divorce was kind of very messy. There was a third person involved, and it just got hard to watch after a while.
Okay, let's cross now to the only guest eligible for divorce at this stage of the show.
Oh, come on, man.
That'd be you, Chris.
That's depressing.
Hey, sexy lady. That is Rachel Stanley. I'm still getting used to that. Like, even on Facebook, she's still Rach Hill Stanley.
It should be the way. It should be Stanley Hill.
Stanley Hill.
Quite
It's
glorious.
been done. It's been done. Right, I've got one. You'll like this, Matt, because it's a Tottenham fan. Adele Blue Laurie Adkins, mostly known just as Adele. She's a huge fan of Tottenham. Right, the thing is, she has a partner. She's perfectly happy. They got a baby and things like that. She's all right. She doesn't need to put out too many albums. She's not the money. But I think she will be forever associated with an album about a breakup, which is 21. That album is effectively paying her bills. 21, Rolling in the Deep. You're gonna wish you never had met me. I think, seriously, Adele, record something that suggests you moved on. Because as far as anyone can remember, for 3 years, we just assume that you're still, moping from this breakup.
Yeah, don't
But
do a
this divorce
Taylor
is-
Swift.
Oh
See?
yeah, that's the other way to go.
It's the other way to go. I mean, Taylor Swift was one I was thinking, but as James Miller has pointed out, she'd be just great for a dating show because just every single week. She's even kind of admitted it in Shake It Off. She's like, yeah, probably gone on too many dates.
That song's oddly catchy though.
That's what
we should
people
move
say.
on. Question 5. Carrying on from Gone Girl, the film is based upon a book. So what novels are there which have been made into films that are worth reading? And we'll just keep this to a one-namer, guys. So, Chris.
Fever Pitch.
Lucy.
The Diving Bell and the Butterfly.
Tash.
One Day.
And Emma.
Time Traveller's Wife.
Okay, after that quickfire round, question 6. Alien Isolation is out and appears to be the game fans of the Alien series have been waiting for. I mean, anything is better than Colonial Marines, right? But what currently holds the title of best game based on a film or television show? Emma.
I'm not a huge gamer, but I think the one that's probably doing that I've heard a lot of good things about are some of the recent Batman games. The gameplay is very good, their interpretation of it is smart, they're just solid games.
Okay, Lucy.
I'm going to say from my childhood, because I haven't really played that many games recently, GoldenEye on the N64, which obviously Bond game, which is very good, and it's like something that I remember from my childhood, so it has good memories for me. But also, I'm going to mention the fact that my younger stepbrother actually likes all the Lego games that are based on different franchises.
Yeah.
So like the Harry Potter ones and the Indiana Jones and Star Wars and
Lego
all of those.
Avengers.
He says they're really good. So I don't know, maybe they've got cotton on something.
I love that your research is your little nephew.
Stepbrother. But yeah, he he's always playing the Lego games. Like, he's got all of them and he loves them.
Okay, we're across to Chris now.
I've actually played Lego Batman 2. I have it, and it's a really fun game. I think Lego is just a masterstroke because whatever age you are, you love Lego, don't you? That doesn't change. So it's just the fact that you can reassemble, like the voices are good and things like that. But that's not what I've gone for. I've gone with a game that Peter Kimball Evans has reviewed. Good old Kimball. I've never played this game, but I really want it. Late birthday present suggestion, you guys. Crime and Punishment Sherlock Holmes. Because what it does, Mac, is it combines elements from the Robert Downey Jr. films and Benedict Cumberbatch, the Moffat BBC TV series. So it's both. Because you have all the action and the drama, the sort of punch-ups from the Robert Downey Jr. films with Jude Law. But you also have things like the Mind Palace that Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock goes into. You know, the sort of all the little thoughts that you can trace off. I wouldn't have considered buying this, but done. Like, all this needs is a cameo from Peter Capaldi, and I am so there. And knowing Moffat, that'll happen.
Okay, and Tash last of all.
Well, being a massive video gamer myself, obviously, no. What I did find, and I kind of wish that it did go ahead, because it was the only thing that I used to play on at my friend's house, was Sims. Apparently, EA did make a deal to make the Sims movie. However, for some reason, it just hasn't gone anywhere. I wonder why.
They're making Tetris a film.
I
heard about that. They are. Look.
For honourable mention should go to the Lord of the Rings Return of the King game. Edgar and I actually spent an evening playing that at university when all the girls went out and left him alone.
It seems really good.
It is good. We had a good night hacking orcs to death. Let's go to the scores now. At the end of the second round, it's starting to open up quite a bit. At the back, Chris on 22.
Gosh darn.
Just ahead on 23, it's Tash.
Ooh.
But quite a way in the lead by basically naming most of the games on my shelf. It's Emma and Lucy on 27.
Bye.
Woo! That was a high five. Yeah.
One of you has got to take the other one down, though. I'm counting on that.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's fine.
Tense with 2 questions in the final round remaining. So let's see who crumbles. Question 7. Cult series Twin Peaks is to return with a 3rd series, 25 years after it was cancelled. So which show that ended prematurely would you like to see return? Tash?
I don't think, the one that I picked, I don't think it ended prematurely because obviously it followed through the story. However, for personal reasons, I just think they should have kept it going on and on and on. And that's Merlin. I absolutely adored Merlin. And I was gutted when they ended it. And you know, after that, I mean, I know the story, I know history, I know they had to do it. But even as they ended it, I thought perhaps they left it open for like Merlin to enter into the 21st century. Perhaps we could have had a modern Merlin, but no, they've just left it, and it still devastates me now, actually. But I so loved it. I loved it. They had such great partnership, the two, Merlin and Arthur, and it was always interesting, always funny. And what I love is that the very first series, the very first episode, I was in a little bit of a huff because I thought, I don't want to watch this programme, but my whole family's watching it. And by the end of the 40 minutes, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so good. Oh, what? This wasn't a one-parter? Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And then there we go. I was hooked. I was an addict. They shouldn't have killed and they should have...
Spoilers!
Gosh darn, Tash, spoilers! I haven't watched the last series.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't seen any of it. I've been trying to. It's not on any
Gosh
catch-up.
darn, Tash!
Oh my gosh. Are you being serious? Are you...
No, I'm being deadly serious, and I was going to say...
I'm lying! I'm joking!
Oh, don't.
I'm joking!
Mine, Mac, not points off.
I just love tricking people. That's just me, I'm just teasing.
Well, true story, I did actually meet I worked with someone who was on Merlin as an extra.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, really nice guy, Shelby. He was a Welsh guy, so he did kind of temporary stuff. There's a scene where Arthur has to be held back by a load of men. I think it's the first series. He's one of the guys, because he was built like a tank.
Claim to fame.
Yeah, no, awesome.
Okay, Emma.
I found this one really tough because as we've probably discussed before, I'm terrible at following TV series. And I like TV to be short but sweet. That's my favourite thing. I like it. I often think less is more, and that's one of the things I like about English TV programmes is they often go for fewer series. I think there are a lot of TV series that suffer from being too long.
Oh, not the Waffle.
But
5 more years. 5 more years.
6
At
seasons
least.
of the movie.
Yes.
I'm going to go for a bit of a random one. There was a TV pilot I saw years ago called Reunited, and it was about a bunch of university friends who get back together again after about 5 years. They're at the point that we're probably all at now, where they're all living their lives and they're all pining for their time at uni, and they're sort of conflicted between wanting to, you know, go out and do crazy stuff still, and the fact that some of them are starting to have families and all this sort of thing. It was awesome. Ed Byrne was in it as a guy who just permanently seemed to turn up in various people's bedrooms. And I saw this show and I was like, oh, it's great. I was ready to tune in next week, and nothing. It was a pilot. It never got made into a series.
I'm old enough for this. When French Reunited was first launched as a website, and it was a huge thing about the generation before us. But the terrible thing that it caused a lot of divorces because it was basically old flames meeting up and wanting to, you know, get down on the ground and
Speaking of old flames, Lucy.
Yeah, so I'm going to say Pushing Daisies because that unfairly got cancelled because of the writers' strike in America. It was quirky, it was fun, it was different, it was an unusual premise, and it was something very sort of new and fresh. I'm also going to mention Smash, which recently got cancelled because it was like a mature version of Glee and was actually good. And it showed like a really dark side to sort of like theatre and musical theatre, especially Broadway. Sort of like everyone vying for attention and people going up against each other for roles and what people were willing to do to get their parts. And it was actually really good, but yeah, it got cancelled just because of bad ratings and because it kept getting moved around in the schedule. So that kind of thing happens a lot in America. They kind of move things around and then it gets lost in the schedules, and yeah, they just sort of get rid of stuff. But honourable mention also to Arrested Development, because I know it's come back, but that did finish way too early.
I liked Pushing Daisies. It was
an
all
awesome
colourful
series.
and bright and nice, apart from the death bit.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
It got death and made it funny. That's not easy.
Okay, Chris, what show would you bring back?
Warning, this is my list one. Now, Scrubs was one I thought of, and Lucy, actually, Robot Wars suffered the same fate in English series. It got moved to Channel 5. The schedule got moved around ridiculously. Mensong got really corrupt. They basically stopped one of the robots from winning because they said it was boring. It just got cancelled, and it was just an awful way for a show to finish. But the one I've actually gone for is Top of the Pops. Now, it does come back briefly for Christmas and New Year special, but basically since 2006, nothing. And it was a huge part of my childhood. We're talking a good
You've got
night.
a bit too much baggage on it now, Top of the Pops.
maybe rebrand
I think you
it.
can move on from that. I think you can. I think it's possible. What I'm thinking is it should come back for a UK general election special, because most people, right, if they try and watch the general election, it's difficult, it's really boring, so have on the other side Top of the Pops election special. Here's your top 10 from 1974. At 1974, it's Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas and Devilgate Drive by Suzi Quatro. In 1979, it's Bright Eyes by Art Garfunkel. At 1983, it's Every Breath You Take by The Police. 1987, I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me by Whitney Houston. At 1992, it's Stay by Shakespeare's Sister. 1997, I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly. 2001, Do You Really Like It by DJ Pied Piper. 2005, Is This the Way to Amarillo by Tony Christie featuring Peter Kay. And the most recent election, number one, is Once by Diana Vickers, 2010. Place your bets for 2015. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum.
Adele and Taylor Swift to do a duet where they sing about how happy they are.
I like it.
We hate this coalition. Whoa, whoa.
Okay, before Chris shoots himself in the foot, let's move on to question 8. A golfer ranked 792nd in the world won his first European title on Sunday. So as we're approaching the end, let's have examples of the underdog winning. Chris.
Well, we all remember, I mean, Lucy certainly remembers, or maybe she just remembers making Rachel cry. I don't know, Wigan winning the FA Cup final 2013. No one gave Wigan a chance. They deliberately moved it for TV to be at 5:15. So most Wigan fans actually couldn't make it because it would be really difficult for them to get back afterwards. You're talking proper working class fans here.
Can't get trained up north.
Well, yeah, it's like Wigan versus Manchester City. Yeah, we'll hold it in Wembley at 5:15. So many issues with that. And in the 90th minute, Ben Watson, brilliant goal. But one that might supersede that, from a historical point, is AFC Wimbledon last night finally beat Milton Keynes Dons in the Football League trophy at Milton Keynes Dons. Milton Keynes Dons technically is the old Wimbledon. They basically moved a football club 80 miles away, nowhere near Wimbledon, up Milton Keynes. Shocking thing to do. And AFC Wimbledon, like the fans, had to basically start their own club because they didn't have a club anymore. It's taken 10 years. They've had to go through all the different divisions. They played Forest Green for a couple of years, got into League Two. They're still in League Two. They're doing quite well now. And they finally beat them at Milton Keynes, there's just so much delicious irony and joy. And just this once, everybody wins.
That's two strong answers there from Chris. Okay, Lucy, what have you got?
So, I had a bit of a struggle because I didn't really want to go with the sports one because I'm not really much of a sports fan. So I looked up all random stuff from like wars and battles and history things, but then I came up with the Oscars. Rocky winning the Oscar in 1977, which obviously now seems like, yeah, of course Rocky won the Oscar for Best Picture. But it was actually quite a sleeper hit. It had no promotion and it was kind of in theatres for a long time with no buzz around it at all. And it was up against some pretty big hitters of the year from like Taxi Driver, Network and All the President's Men. And it was really unexpected for them to win, just because they'd had no promotion up until that point, until it got to like the Oscar, literally a couple of weeks before the Oscars, and suddenly people started to talk about Rocky. So yeah, for me, that was quite an underdog win there.
Yeah.
And also it was a big underdog thing for Stallone, because he was still very much an up-and-coming actor.
Yeah.
And he ploughed loads of his own money into it to a point where he was almost bankrupt. And if that film hadn't been successful, he would have pretty much have gone under.
Tash, underdogs.
Underdogs. Forrest Gump. I know he isn't a real person, but I love the film. And to be honest, I again, the only real sort of underdogs you sort of come to mind are sports people, and I don't follow sport. But I just think in terms of sort of this fictional character, he's so inspirational for the rest of us, for the real world. He's someone who has a low IQ. He was bullied because he had leg braces, but he actually goes on to have a very impressive life. He becomes an athletic champion. He joins the army and is like a hero. He meets Elvis and apparently teaches him sort of the little leg shaking move. Obviously helped because he was wearing his leg braces when he was younger. He finally, he falls in love with this girl, and he's in love with this girl for his whole life, and eventually he manages to get the girl. I mean, that is a true underdog, sort of really conquering all. And the film is amazing.
To Emma.
Okay, I thought I'd go back to history because there have been so many situations where so many different people have been underdogs. Basically, I've gone for Ethiopia versus Italy in a very unlikely battle that happened in 1895.
Yes.
It was at a point where basically all of the world, or all of Europe, kept trying to nick bits of Africa because we decided to stick a flag in them and then just invade them for the hell of it.
Do you have a flag?
No flag, no country. And so, Italy got to this point where they're like, oh, we don't own as many bits of Africa, we should probably invade one of them. And they decided they'd go for Ethiopia. And they went marching in with artillery and modern weapons, and they were so confident they were going to win, they didn't bother with any strategy and just walked straight in and got slaughtered.
Don't mess.
Ethiopia just mushed them. And the Italians who got back were kind of very confused as to what had just happened. And I like it because it's not only the country with the less fancy weapons and who aren't the civilised, in air quote, country. It's just, I like the thought of someone standing up to all the empire mongering and silly attitude and just being like, no, shove off, it's our country.
We're having...
Okay, so we come to the final round now. The scores are incredibly close, but somebody is in the lead by a single point. And that person is Lucy. Lucy, as you're in the lead, you get to pick the running order for the final round.
Okay, I want to go last, and I want it to be Chris, Emma, Tash, and then me.
So, Chris, what is your headline and summary?
William Hague preaches at Peckham. This is the story that, well-known William Hague gave a sermon at Peckham on Sunday in presumably a move to help the Conservative vote. No, Peckham, not your usual Tory vote. That's me.
Okay, Emma, headline and story, please.
Is cheese making us gullible? Basically, there was a survey done in Sweden, and they found out that people were more suggestible to lies after they've been eating a lot of dairy products. Apparently it's to do with how our body processes dairy, and they were doing a study to do with the fact that obviously humans are about the only species that eat the milk of another animal. They wanted to see what it did to people, and they found this slightly weird side effect. So vegans have superpowers, apparently.
Okay, Tash next.
Potato found growing in woman's vagina after she used it as contraception.
Oh.
So basically, it's in Colombia. They don't have very good sex education there, and they don't really like to use contraception, like conventional contraception. And so she just believed that, well, if she put a potato in her vagina, she wouldn't get pregnant. But unfortunately, it then started growing and sprouting off in her womb. But she's fine. They removed it, and she was fine.
Okay, and Lucy, can you rise above potatoes in your vagina?
Okay, okay, man wants to swap home for iPhone 6. Basically, there's a guy in Detroit. He's got a pretty shabby looking home, and he's willing to swap his 3-bedroom property for the new iPhone 6 or an iPad, and he's happy with that. When I say shabby, the windows were broken and the door was kicked in. But yeah, he was like, I will swap my 3-bedroom property for an iPhone.
Okay, so we have William Hague preaching at Peckham, cheese making us gullible, a potato being used as contraception, and a man swapping his iPhone 6 for his house. Okay, so Emma, what of those do you think is true or false?
Okay, I think Chris's is false. Oh, the potato. I think the potato's true, as horrible as it is, and I think someone's mad enough to swap their house for an iPad, so I'm going to say true for that as well.
Okay, Tash, what are you thinking?
I think Chris's is. I think that's false. I think Emma's with the gullible cheese. I think that's false. But I do think that Lucy's iPhone, the swapping the house for an iPhone, I think that's true.
Okay.
Only in America.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
I don't think Emma's is true, because I'm wary of the whole time she did that story about the sheep, and that was false. I think Lucy's is true. I think, yeah, that sounds to me like a Metro headline or something like that. And, God, I've forgotten Tash's. What was Tash's?
You've been paying attention, Chris.
Potatoes!
Oh, no, Tash's with potatoes. Yes, because, only in America. That's true. That's true all over.
And Lucy, lastly.
I think Tash's is true. Chris, I'm going to go with true. Emma, I'm going to go with...
You can look at me, this isn't fair!
I think hers is true as well.
You're going to go for Emma's as true. Okay, so this could be an interesting spread. Chris, William Hague preaches at Peckham. True or false?
It is false. There was a Will Hague preaching at Peckham, but he's not the William Hague you're thinking of. Different William Hague. He's a civil servant. I was at this sermon, And apparently, one MP asked him, "Is like, are you the real William Hague?" And the poor guy was like,
Okay. Cheese making. Is it making us gullible, Emma?
No, that would be stupid.
Yeah.
Oh.
Would be very stupid.
Such a Moonraker story. We're trying to make in that giant cheese.
It was a Swedish study. Even more suggestible after dairy product. It's not true.
Okay. So
Okay.
it's still quite close at the minute. Tash, the potato story. I'm a little bit worried at the minute because last time you did one, it was sort of based on your experiences.
This is not based on my experiences. This is true.
Yeah.
Some Colombian woman really did, but I don't know whether it's a new potato or a jacket potato. I don't really know, but she put it up there, and yeah, definitely she didn't get pregnant, but she was definitely starting to have potato sprouts in her vagina and womb, so womb even. Not
Such it just sounds like a Metro story. It does.
It is.
Yeah.
They find the best.
They do. It's fair play.
Okay, and so points all round there. And last of all, the man who wanted to swap his house for an iPhone 6, Lucy.
Yeah, that was true.
America.
Yeah, in America.
Okay, so that leads us to a tie.
Oh, you're kidding.
Before we find out who is fighting for the title of Champion Waffler 2014, the scores are as follows. 37 points, tied at the back, Chris Stanley and Lucy Ahmed.
Joint third. I'm happy with that.
Tied
Hey.
on 39, it's Emma and Tash.
We have 2 ties?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good.
Oh, please let's have a third place playoff.
Okay,
Wow.
so that's a very good idea, Chris, and as it happens I have 2 tie-break questions. As obviously as you're a gentleman, Chris, to decide third place, ladies first. Lucy, would you like set 1 or set 2 of the tiebreakers?
Set 2.
Set 2, okay. How many episodes of Robot Wars were there?
Oh, crikey.
And this is not including the spin-off series of the extreme ones.
Oh, not including. Okay.
Not including.
What is that?
So it'll be to the closest number on this.
I don't even know how many years Robot Wars ran for.
I can work that out, roughly.
I'm so glad this isn't my question.
I could have only vaguely guessed.
Basically, 15 times 7, take away 8, which is, I'm going to say 97. 97 episodes.
Okay, Lucy playing tactical and staying silent to hear Chris's mathematically worked out answer there.
I'm going to say... Oh, I'll make it around 100.
Chris Stanley, 97. Lucy Ahmed, 100. There were 121 episodes of Robot Wars.
What? Oh, the semi-finals. Oh. Okay. Beaten at my own game. Yeah.
Giving Lucy the extra point there to take third place outright.
I'm Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus. Everybody
brings
wants
us
the
to-
dinosaur.
The title decider, Emma and Tash, for the victory.
For the win. Win big. Hashtag win big.
Win big.
How much did Gone Girl take at the US box office on its opening weekend?
Oh, dude.
Oh man, a
I
lie.
have no idea.
I'm glad I had the playoff question. There's so much riding on this.
I have absolutely no idea. I'm gonna guess with just 100 million pounds. No.
Pounds?
No. I've gone, well, stupid, because what I did was I immediately just wrote down 100 and then I came up with a stupid number. So I'm just gonna go now with 94 million pounds.
Okay, and Emma.
I'm gonna go with $10 million.
Tasha's going $94 million.
Well, no, she said pounds. Get the exchange rate going.
Well, to be honest, I have no idea. I mean, you can convert
I have no
it to
idea
dollars if you
either.
like. We can convert it to dollars. $94 million.
£1 is $1.8. Well, $1.5. Yeah.
So Tasha's answer worked out at $147 million versus Emma's answer of $10 million. Gone Girl on its opening weekend took $38 million, which means Emma is the closest and this year's champion.
Yay!
Yeah!
34. Oh.
I actually won. I just assumed I wouldn't.
Congrats, guys. Yeah. My rap counts for nothing.
Oh, your rap was so good.
Oh, we should
Your
have
rap's amazing.
epic rap waffles of history.
The rap was really good.
Edgar Duncan versus Tony Gale.
So that means Emma is this year's champion. How does it feel?
It feels pretty awesome, actually.
And
I'm a happy lady.
I have news for you, Emma. All 3 waffle winners, including yourself, will be receiving a trophy in the next couple of weeks. Because I've actually managed to pop down to somewhere in London, and get 3 trophies with waffle champion, etc. So yeah, so you get
Wow!
Aw.
That's amazing. That's really awesome.
Tash gets a book for Pointless. You guys get Doctor Who, and Mac. Great, you can have the Match of the Day annual for being an awesome host. You deserve it.
Thank you.
All those editing hours, like people don't realize. I don't think people realize how much time Mac spends editing. Yeah.
Especially this one, we're over an hour. We're almost an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So there you have it, people. The series comes to an end, but we will be back later this year. We have a Halloween special coming up where Jennifer Roberts will be returning. So make sure you tune in for that. There will also be a Christmas special this year, which we've already got Tash signed up, as well as Edgar Duncan.
I love Christmas.
Next year, we shall be having our 49th and 50th episodes, which we have some very big treats up our sleeves for.
Yeah.
Woo! Treat!
Because that brings us to the end of the series finale. Thank you to Chris, Lucy, Tash, and our new champion, Emma Preuss.
Richly deserves.
Yeah!
Congratulations.
We'll be back soon. In the meantime,
I didn't know
take
half your
care.
answers then. I was just like, every time I was like, oh, really?
Chris, I'm trying to wrap the show up here, man.
I'm the one who
So
raps.
it's sober.
Yeah. I'm representing all the gangsters across the world, still hitting in corners on the lolos, girl.
We'll be back soon. Take care and goodbye.
Bye.
Seats.